Hello everyone, today we would be shooting a different kind of pellets for an impact testing. We would be shooting this hard cardboard piece, so it has a front thick cardboard and then multiple thick pages inside, and we would be studying the impact of the bullets and the penetration testing by measuring the number of seats that each of the bullet is able to penetrate through. We would be testing right from a generic, this is a Magnum, so these are the generic pellets made in India, decent quality or an average quality, right up, and we would move up to the levels. Then we have a DSE pellet, slightly better ones, and then we're gonna move up these Gamo and Precihole top of the line pellets. So we would be shooting slugs, we would be shooting flatheads, and we would be shooting roundheads from different brands and different grains, and analyze how this impact the penetration power of the bullet. So let's get shooting. So we would be shooting each of the pellet from a distance of approximately, this is 5 meters, and I think 5 meters would be a sweet spot before sacrificing too much speed and having the same accuracy. So this is the first 12 pellet we are gonna shoot today. Magnum .177 caliber, made in India. We don't really have the grain given over here, so not sure about the grain. We will be shooting one each. First bullet is in, guys, and it looks like the bullet has gone through, it's stuck. We will have a look at the results once we are able to take this off. So now we are going with the next pellet, which is the DSE or C, I'm not really sure, again Indian pellet, and we know at least this is 10.8 grain, so not a very light bullet. I would consider it slightly on the heavier side, but it's a pointed pellet, so I have slightly higher hopes from this particular one. Yeah, so let's give it a try. This certainly has a bigger impact size than the earlier one. So the earlier one has a domed headed pellet, so the entry pot is much smaller, while this has a much bigger entry point. Now we move on to the third pellet, which is actually dome type pellet from Precihole. This is the pellet, Precihole dome type pellet, and again I am not sure we have the grain here, so we don't have the grain actually, but again a domed type pellet, and I believe this would be lighter than 10 grain. I think this would be somewhere in the range of 7 to 8 grains, I believe. And let's see how this comes up. So the previous dome one had a very small entry print, while the pointed one had a larger entry hole. Let's see how this one does. This was a domed type of pellet, so this was the last domed one, and this is the Precihole domed one. Again, both of them have a very similar entry point, both of them lodged in here. Compared to these two, you can see that the pointed had a much larger entry point. So next comes our Diabolo pellets. So here is our Diabolo pellets, if you see this, and now these are not Indian pellets. I believe these are German pellets. Yeah, so these are made in Germany, and these are flatheads, and these are 7 grain. So I believe these would be the lightest of the pellet that we have. A very nice quality pellets actually. I have fired this a lot in the recent times. This pump performs very good in terms of target shooting, so creates very nice perfectly shaped entry points on the target. This is not supposed for penetration or something like that, but being a flat-headed, it would impact all its energy just on the first go. So let's see how it turns up in our test. So there we have the shot as expected. Oh, so the flat-headed, this is the only pellet which actually I am able to extract. So I guess this would have the least penetration, and it just shattered at the entry. So flat-headed's not very good for impact and stuff. So we will know more once we take off the cardboard. And then now we have our next contender. So these are Gamo rockets. I believe one of the costliest pellet in my arsenal. So what these have as a speciality. Let me show you. Yeah, so what their speciality is, if you can see here, these have a brass core which presumably gives it more penetration power. So these are supposed to be hunting pellets. I haven't been able to test this on a live game yet, but let's see how it does in our test. So loading these Gamo Rocket 3. One problem I have that when I put it into the barrel, the Rocket 3s are they don't sit very well. They sit like local made pellets. So that's a red flag that this pellet has. It would leak energy if it doesn't sit very well there. Wow. So in terms of entry point, I think a very small entry point. So this is the smallest entry point yet. So this is quite interesting. Hopefully it hasn't. What it has done is I'm not sure. I think it left all the lead outside and only the brass thing went through. That's very interesting in itself. I'm excited to open it up and find out. And the final pellet we have now next is these slugs basically. So again these are from these slugs are from Precihole, the same company as my rifle. And so the heaviest of the lot, I guess 14 to 15 grain, somewhere around that. Yeah, 15 grain, 14.7 grain heavy pellets, supposedly to be used for long distance shooting. But let's see how it performs on the penetration test. How many layers can it breach? I see a crow sitting over there. Should I try shooting it? It's quite far away as of now. So that's again very interesting. So the slug, it just bounced right off the cardboard. It didn't do any penetration at all. Let's try shooting this again. So this had the least penetration power of all. So I guess it loses. It isn't going in the barrel, so it has already destroyed. It isn't going in through the barrel. Now let's open up the cardboard sheet and check the outputs. So now for the final reveal, let's see what happens. So this one is the cheapest Magnum pellet. This one is the pointed one. This one is Precihole's domed headed pellet. This one, I believe, the flat headed one, which I was able to extract. This looks like the deepest one yet. This one is the Gamo Hunter, and this one was the Slug, which barely was able to cross the cardboard. So okay, now if we see here, the first pellet that just created a dent, that didn't go in. This was the second pointed head pellet. It created a good entry point, but if you see here, it's stuck here. You can see the pellet over here if you look closely. And then none of them pellets made through. All of them were stopped by the first level of cardboard, apart from the Gamo Hunter. So if you see here, it penetrated straight through, and that's how it's lodged in. And if we start turning the sheets, yes, you see the pellet sitting over here, and then how many pages it impacted. So wow, so Gamo Hunter, literally super strong penetration power compared to every other kind of pellet. And that's the destroyed pellet, as you can see. And if you see here, the brass tip stays intact while the lead was kind of shattered. So this was an interesting test. And so the top pellets in terms of penetration power was, of course, the Gamo came at the top, powered by its brass core center, which helped it to penetrate more. And the second best was the DSE, the local pellet, but it's of good quality. The pellets are uniform, and the lead material is good. So that was also good at penetrating. But the worst was the slugs. The slug didn't have any energy. I think the slug is something not suitable for my rifle. We would be needing a more powerful rifle to shoot those slugs. So thank you guys